So thank you very much, Dean Miles, for these great welcome remarks. And good morning to everyone in the room and to all of you watching us from elsewhere. At last year's Stigler conference, we discussed the future of US antitrust policy beyond the consumer welfare standard. I believe two messages came out of that meeting. First, it's really time to put to bed the consumer welfare standard, whatever that is, as an intellectual benchmark for antitrust enforcement. As a titan of the field, Judge Frank Easterbrook said last year that the consumer welfare standard was basically, and I'm not going to try to imitate my Brazilian accent, but he basically said that it was loose language written by Chief Justice Burger, a Supreme Court opinion that didn't involve it, that he was proud never to use it in his class or his opinions. Easterbrook is not exactly the most progressive antitrust scholar, so I think you can take that as a strength of the academic foundations of the standard. It's really time to move on. Second, it's time to move on because we also have concrete reasons for it, as we have more important stuff to focus on. There was also broad agreement last year that the under-enforcement of the antitrust laws over the past decades has led to real harm. However, and quite interestingly, there was no agreement on how large that harm is. Indeed, at the very first panel, Chad was sitting next to me now, asked whether we have any good metrics of how antitrust enforcement impacts productivity growth by shaping the long-term development and creation and diffusion of general-purpose technology. And no one really had a good answer. This is a fundamental issue for all of us who care about free markets, and more broadly, and antitrust policy in particular. So this is this year's theme of the conference, antitrust, regulation, and the diffusion of innovation. To try and answer Chad's question, we have to go back in history and study how antitrust enforcement impacted the evolution of key technologies that shaped economic growth over the past 100 years. This will be the main goal of the first day of the conference, which will combine more general panels with case studies. Maybe the impact of antitrust comes from generally deterring bad behavior, or maybe the real impact comes from high-profile cases against gatekeepers of novel technologies. These are all topics that we're going to cover today. However, we are also at a particular time in history. The fast growth of AI has upended markets and governments, which are scrambling to impose limits on this novel technology. As George Stigler, the namesake of our center, would rightly warn us, these are also dangerous times. Because it's exactly when governments regulate a novel technology, one that they do not understand well, and under the pressure of international competition, that industry players are best positioned to shape the regulation and these policies to their advantage. Instead of promoting societal welfare, the regulation entrenches incumbents and suppresses innovation. So this is the second day of our conference. We'll focus on this dilemma. How can regulation best promote welfare, competition, and innovation? What pitfalls should we avoid as we move to impose limits on the development and deployment of AI technologies? And finally, to keep up with our recurrent theme of our conference, how can we protect the key role of academia as an independent source of knowledge in this arena? In other words, this year's conference is going to cover a lot of grounds. We'll study the past to understand how we can better shape the future. We are also experimenting new ways to engage our live and online audience. So this year, we're introducing anonymous pools. You're going to see QR codes at the breaks, so people in the room can participate and people online can participate as well. And then we'll cover the results on prop markets. So without further ado, I'm very much looking forward to the discussion. Shannon, you're a big reason why we're here, so the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Filippo.